Wrinkles are not a girl's best friend. What if the solution to getting rid of them and reviving aging skin is already within you? I've got an exciting find to share with you. Today's show is brought to you by Thrive Market, where you'll find healthy, natural, non-GMO, organic, vegan, raw, paleo, gluten-free, and non-toxic products from top-selling brands at wholesale prices. I was at the Natural Products Expo West, and the biggest thing this year was paleo-inspired meat bars, such as bison bars made with cranberries and bacon. Thrive Market has them. It's like if Whole Foods and Costco had a baby and you get the bison bars. Thrive Market. Get all the healthy energy you need, reasonably priced, delivered right to your door. This is lifelicious. With the help of my posse of wellness experts and well-being innovators, we'll explore the connection of food, your mind, and your environment in reclaiming your health and vitality so that you have all the energy you need to feel beautiful, get stuff done, and enjoy your life. I'm your host, Kim Castle. Now, let's get juicy. Hello, Buttercup. Thank you so much for tuning in, whether you're listening while you're reading more magazine, or you're in line buying tomatoes, or you're feeding your alpaca. I'm honored to share this time with you and also to share what I've discovered about having all the energy you need to really feel beautiful, feel good in your body, get stuff done, and have more energy left over so you can truly enjoy your life. The other day, I was packing for a trip and I needed to get my travel toiletries bag, which was under my bathroom sink. And I came face to face with the realization that I had stashed away hundreds, if not thousands of dollars of skincare products in various degrees of use under my sink. That's not including the lotions and serums and masks that I have in my bathroom drawer. And when I saw, when I really took it in, I was blown away. I was at first kind of mortified that I had spent that much money, collectively. Think about what that money could have done. That money could have, I could have redone a portion of my home, or I could have sponsored an orphan baby elephant, which is a cause very near and dear to my heart. But, and then I started to think, well, why did I buy this? You don't buy skincare as a whole. You buy each one individually, one at a time. And of course, when you break it down like that, you have expectations and hopes and desires for each one. And each one has a particular purpose, like getting rid of wrinkles or getting rid of discoloration or saggy skin, or, and it goes on and on and on. And even though I know that most of the things, these products that I buy, even when I buy really expensive ones, rarely deliver on the thing that they say that they do, especially in the wrinkle department. Yet we keep buying them. I have to say that I have a thing with wrinkles. I mean, I don't have an illness, but I definitely have a thing with wrinkles. I just don't like them. I know it sounds kind of vain, but I'm just not going to take wrinkles lying down. I want to look and feel young. Actually, it's not young. It's great. I want to look and feel great for as long as possible. Is that so wrong? There's something about buying the next cream or serum. When you really look at it, each one screams of possibility. I know I'm not the only person who feels this way. That's why billions of dollars each year are spent on creams and lotions and serums, not to mention the millions, billions more spent on injectable fillers and plastic surgery. Now, after learning about how stem cell activation has the ability to cause our bodies to rejuvenate themselves in my previous podcast, that's podcast number 1 with Dr. Alan Gavek, I really started to get excited. I mean, stem cells could be a real solution for wrinkles and saggy skin and that crepey neck and hands that remind you of your grandmother. Stem cells as a possibility for wrinkles and, looking and feeling great really grabbed my hopes and dreams and would not let go. Can stem cells be the key to reviving our skin from the inside? This led me to Dr. Philip Battiade. We had a fascinating chat, but before we dive into that interview, I just got back from Las Vegas for a 2-day business event. Now, 2 years ago, a trip like that would have exhausted me and wrecked me for days. Not this time. I listened to what my body needed the whole way, and I took really good care of myself. That meant I was in my hotel room in my PJs by 9 p.m., and I kept looking at the Vegas Strip from my room, and I kept thinking, am I a loser? It's Vegas. It's Saturday night. I'm here with this amazing group of 1,000 people, and I'm in my room ready for bed by 9 p.m. But I have to tell you, when I got back home to Los Angeles the day after the event, I felt great, like I never went. Now, it certainly can take an adjustment to make decisions from a place of purely honoring what your body needs, but when you make it, wow, there's no turning back. What else? It's time for my self-centered 30-day circle. That's right, I said self-centered. You should hear people's responses to self-centered. I know that we're told being self-centered was bad, but I have to tell you, they're wrong. I made up these self-centered T-shirts, which is there's a Superwoman logo on it, and across the middle it says self-centered, and it's truly a conversation starter. Becoming self-centered truly saved my life. You can read the whole scoop at selfcenteredcircle.com. So check it out. My team and I were doing an I'm So Tired video contest over on my Facebook page. Winners selected will win a scholarship to join me in Self-Centered starting on April 11th. Go to facebook.com/Kim Castle to enter. Let's see what else. Oh, I've been exploring Facebook Live. Oh, wow. It is so easy to use. And more than that, I just love it. It's so easy from a technology standpoint. You just click on the little person with the little icon, and it's just like, you're making a post, only you turn on the camera and you go. And I think it's great because years ago when I used to go out and connect with people as a speaker and I'd network, you had to get in the car, you had to drive. It took a lot of energy for me living in LA, I had to go through a lot of traffic to get anywhere. It took a lot of energy. So by the time I'm there, you're kind of exhausted, and yet you have to pull it up and, make relationships. Also, when I was a stand-up comedian, same thing. I'd work during the daytime, and then I would get in the car and head into Hollywood and do stand-up comedy, and I'd have to go through traffic, and then I'd have to get on stage. It took a lot of energy. The cool thing about Facebook Live is you can do it anywhere and do it live and have that connection. And I think that was the thing too that I really, really love is that true connection because it's live. So I think it's great. Less energy, more connection. And then I started to go, oh God, being on camera, what's it going to look like? That close live, I can't edit. I can't put on a lens or a filter. And so it really makes me, again, go back to wrinkles. And, wrinkles. Now, going back to what I was talking about earlier, my stem cell journey, that fascination, that desire, could this be the answer, led me to Dr. Philip Battiade. Now, Dr. Battiade is a naturopathic doctor, a real respected medical practitioner of alternative medicine in Germany with more than 20 years of medical experience. And he specializes in rehabilitative medicine, biological cancer therapies, and the treatment of chronic syndromes such as Lyme disease and chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia. He's also the founder of Infusio Healing Centers in Frankfurt, Germany, and now Beverly Hills. Sounds like a geek, right? While I found him incredibly smart and up on all the stem cell research and treatments for a variety of issues, what I found incredibly surprising was his accessibility and his willingness to answer my questions. And I had a lot of questions. Let's listen. Well, why don't we go ahead and dive right in and just really talk about what got you into medicine? I mean, when did you first realize you wanted to be a doctor?
That's an interesting question. I kind of grew up around medicine. My grandma was one of my teachers. She was a nurse professor. And then my aunt is also a doctor. So we've always had a lot to do with medical field. And others in my family are doctors too. So it was something I was familiar with, and I just thought it was interesting. And my grandma used to spend time with me in the kitchen, especially on Sundays. We'd literally dissect the Sunday roast, and she'd show me kind of the muscles and how they work and things like that. So I really got into the science and anatomy of things, and that was just kind of a natural progression for me.
Well, you could have gone down the road of being a chef if you were dissecting a roast.
That's true, but I actually did go down that road too. So.
Oh, you're kidding!
I have both things under my belt.
So, what made you err on the medicine side?
Well, I mean, I love cooking, and it's a great hobby, and I like doing it. It's very relaxing, but saving lives is a little bit more appealing to me.
Yeah,
so that's right.
Gotcha. What is it about medicine that is so appealing to you?
For me personally, I mean, I love helping people, and that's really important, and dealing with people too. But for me, the fascinating thing is the research in medicine, really, science. I'm the kind of person I like to question everything and ask why. And if someone tells me something's not possible, then I want to see if I can make it possible somehow. And so that's really the side of medicine that interests me, is the deep research.
Wow, so you're kind of like a trailblazer.
Yes, I like to be kind of on the cutting edge of things and, invent new things, come up with new ideas, and try and, break through borders, definitely.
Wonderful. Now, you have an extensive history, and now you're not from the United States, right? Where are you from?
No, I'm from Great Britain.
From Great Britain. That's like, I wasn't sure if your accent was from, like, North Dakota. No, you can tell.
Well, thank you.
That's a beautiful accent. No, but you were practicing in Germany, if I'm correct.
That's correct. Yeah, I've been in Germany now for 25 years practicing that.
And you were practicing as a naturopathic doctor, is that correct?
That's right. In Germany, I practice as a naturopathic doctor.
And your focus there, if I recall, in my research, you're treating Lyme and cancer patients.
Yeah, that's true. So my focus is integrative medicine, and I focused on a patient group that had this chronic degenerative diseases. And so this includes patients with fibromyalgia, with lupus, and of course with Lyme disease and cancer.
Gotcha. Now, what made you find yourself in the exploration of stem cells?
The stem cells, I think, are just the most wonderful tool. I really see them as being the future of medicine. Just because stem cells have the ability to do so many things. They can modulate the immune system, they can repair cells, you can grow new organs, you can do all kinds of things with them. So if we're looking for a workshop where we can go and get new parts, I think, stem cells is that. We can really use them to regenerate the body, regenerate tissue, regenerate organs. It's
really a whole new world from a stem cell perspective, literally and figuratively.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I was, in my research and really looking into stem cells, I was fascinating to find out that really stem cells is what we grew up hearing, bone marrow transplant. Why do you think it's now being called stem cells as opposed to bone marrow?
Well, stem cells are made in the bone marrow. So the beginnings of stem cell therapy were really, looking at replacing the bone marrow. So you take some cells from somebody else and put them in there. But there's so much more to stem cells. I guess when you say the word stem cells, it's like saying the word vehicles. There's so many forms of vehicles, cars, bicycles, planes, and it's the same thing with stem cells. There's so many different forms that can be used for different things. So now where science is developing more and we're getting more advanced with things, we're starting to see the potential of the different kinds of cells and develop different therapies according to those cells.
Well, it's interesting because it's so misunderstood. I mean, some people might think it's like being Frankenstein, like it's so scientific and not very natural. Why do you think people have this misunderstanding about it?
Well, I think the stem cells got a bad rap just because what was very interesting for scientists was working with embryos, because the embryonic stem cells have the potential, how can I say, these cells you can just keep multiplying and multiplying and multiplying. So from them you can grow what we call stem cell lines. So the idea behind stem cell therapy is at some point, we can give a certain stem cell to repair a certain thing. So if someone has diabetes, I give the exact cell that I need to repair the pancreas. Or if someone needs a new kidney, I give those cells and can grow a kidney. And in order to do that, you need to get very specialized cells, and you can develop them over generations from embryonic cells. So this is what scientists were interested in, but unfortunately, it's using embryos, which are basically human babies. And that's ethically, questionable.
Yeah.
And then also the source of the embryos was very questionable. And unfortunately, with everything, it turned into a bad thing where there was illegal trafficking with embryos and things. And that just gave stem cell therapy in general a very, very bad rap.
And what changed it? What turned it around?
To be honest, I don't think it actually turned around in many people's minds. When we talk about stem cells or when I give a lecture about stem cells, everyone brings up embryos.
Mm-hmm.
But for scientists, we know you can get stem cells from other parts of the body, and these are very useful too. Maybe they don't have the same potential as embryonic cells have, but really, they can do other things too. And this is what scientists have just been developing over time.
Well, yeah, I was noticing that there's different kinds. Obviously, it's the embryonic, and then there's stem cells from fat, and then there's stem cells from blood, which is, I guess, similar to what they would take out of the bone marrow. Is that correct?
The ones from the blood, no, actually the ones in the blood are very specific ones as well. Because stem cells form in the bone marrow, and then once they're adult, once they're fully mature, that's when they escape into the bloodstream. So these stem cells are actually very different to the ones we find in the bone marrow.
Oh, so how do you use them in your practice, and which ones do you prefer to use?
Well, my study has been the study of the adult stem cells that we find in the bloodstream. And the reason I like to use them is they're very stable cells. If we think, as I say, they're formed in the bone marrow, and the bone marrow trains the stem cells. And at some point, they're fully trained, and that's when we call them adult stem cells, and the body releases them into the bloodstream. So there's a difference between if I take cells from the bone marrow, these are not mature cells. They haven't been completely trained. That means they don't behave in an organized way. Yeah, they can do all kinds of things that we really can't predict. Whereas if you take adult cells, which have been really trained, you can predict what's going to happen with them. So these are the cells I like to use because they're very safe, and you don't have any long-term side effects. If cells start to multiply unpredictably, it can turn into tumors and things like that. We don't have that risk when using stem cells that are taken directly from the blood.
So they're more stable, or you can control them more?
Yes, probably the best way to say it, yeah.
So what are some of the uses that you're using those stable, army that's listening to you?
Right. Well, one of the main ways we can use these cells is for immune modulation. We know they're very good at basically fixing the immune system. These cells like to turn into blood. They come from the blood, but they also like to turn into blood. So, of course, if we're, someone who is having cancer therapy, for example, and their blood counts are really low, we can use these stem cells to boost their blood. The stem cells have the ability to turn into all kinds of things. So, we can use them to repair the nervous system, to repair cartilage, for tissue repair, things like that. They're very versatile.
Wow. So if somebody has, let's say they have Lyme or a parasite infection in their blood, you're able to introduce these stem cells into the blood, and does it give more of a place for the parasites or the viruses to live, or does it kind of block it out?
Well, stem cells, we don't use them in that way. For example, when I do Lyme treatments, my Lyme protocols always involve stem cells, but the stem cells are not, they're not antibacterial or antiparasitic. But where I use the stem cells is to repair the damage that's been done by the disease. So in my Lyme protocols, I have many different IVs that are used to basically, bring down the microbial load and to fix the immune system and things. And when I give the stem cells, it's really to repair the damage that's been done by the Lyme disease. Oh,
wow. Well, speaking of damage, let's talk about the damage of time. One of the things that why I found you was, like many women today, I've been I'm obsessed with my face not aging. And I'm concerned. I've gotten to a point where I'm concerned about wrinkles or sagging skin and discolorization. And I was really fascinated to find out that you're now taking your research and your years of working with stem cells into that. How does that work?
How does that work? Well, there's two things we can do. First of all, we can actually directly use stem cells in the face. We do a kind of stem cell facelift where we introduce stem cells into the skin, and then they start to multiply and do their work there. So that's one area. But the main area we're using this more is the technology behind the stem cells. One thing we've been looking into is cytokines. And cytokines are factors that the body produces that cause cells to multiply and grow. So these are like, growth factors, the factors that cause cells to multiply. And up until now, it wasn't really possible to work with them very well because you couldn't really stabilize them. Some cytokines are only active for just a few seconds or even milliseconds, whereas others, they last a few days. But it really was never possible to preserve them and be able to work with them for a long time or take them and put them in a cosmetic. And we were able to develop a technology where we can now stabilize cytokines and keep them active for about 1 year. So this was a breakthrough for us, and it's quite a significant breakthrough scientifically. And so through that, we have cells in the lab that basically produce all of the cytokines, so all of the switches and all of the information that cells need to grow or that the stem cells need to do their job. And we were able to preserve these, and these we've put in a cosmetic treatment. And so this is something very exciting for us that we've been using on the face and on the hair, because when we introduce the product into the skin, we can actually trigger the stem cells in the skin to start doing their job. So they actually start to grow new tissue or grow new hair.
Wow. So you're actually farming, you're actually growing cytokines, and then you introduce them into a person's skin or their scalp to create a smoother skin or better quality skin and more hair.
Yes, that's right. So we've suspended them in a medium, and then this medium we mix with different oils and things to give you a nice fragrance and a nice consistency to be able to apply to the skin. And then we've made several products that we can use then for skincare and basically skin repair.
That's fascinating. So where do these initial stem cells come from that you're growing in the lab?
These are cells that we have grown in the lab. So these are cells that have been slightly modified, for example, skin cells, and they will be producing then all the growth factors or the cytokines needed for skin reprotection. Or we have others that have the same effect on the hair follicle. So these are specialized cells that we're really getting all the growth information from, and this we're putting in our product.
Now, so you're using the stem cell properties in skincare. Now, I've been hearing about stem cells and products for years, probably maybe 8 years. What differentiates what you're doing from what's been on the market?
Well, most products that claim to have stem cells in, if you actually read the fine print, they have apple stem cells. And I don't know about you, but I'm not an apple. So I'm thinking, putting apple stem cells on my face sounds nice, but really does it do what it's supposed to do? So the difference that we have, we don't actually have stem cells, but we have all the information that stem cells need to do their job. Because often stem cells, once we get older, they've just been kind of switched off. They're just there, but they don't know what to do. So we provide the cytokines, which is all the information that the stem cells need to do their job. So the stem cells are already in your skin. We just give them the information, and then they kick in and start to grow new cells.
Wow. And so how do you do that? Do you just put it on somebody's face or on their hair, or is there some kind of procedure?
Yeah. We have, for the face, we have two different products. One product is our clinical facial serum, and this is applied during a facial. So we give you a really nice facial, get rid of all the dead skin and things like that. And then we apply the serum. First of all, we're using kind of mesotherapy to get it nice and deep into the skin. And then areas where there's deeper wrinkles and things like that, we'll use microneedling. So these are very, very fine needles that we use to puncture the skin. We go to a certain depth, which really kind of pushes the serum then further into the skin and breaks up any scar tissue or anything that might be there. And then after that, we use an oxygen jet to really blow the product really deep into the skin. And this then gets to the stem cells and then activates. So this is our clinical serum. So this has to be done in a clinical setting by an esthetician. But then after that, we have a take-home serum. So this is it's a 30-day 4-in-1 facial serum. And this serum really replaces the 4 typical products that you use on your face, but it has all of that cytokine information in it and also cell food, because now if we're activating the stem cells, cells are going to start growing and we need to feed them. So our serum has all the food in it that the cells need for the next 30 days to replicate.
Wow, I never thought about feeding my cells.
No, it's very important.
They're hungry.
They're growing and you want to multiply them.
Especially if they're 13-year-old stem cells. They're hungry.
Exactly.
And so when you do something like this, what kind of results can you expect?
Well, we've seen very good results. First of all, those fine lines and wrinkles disappear. We've been testing it on people, who have sagging skin or, under the chin. When you get a bit older, we know the skin starts to sag there. And we've seen really the skin tightened up nicely and done really well. So we're kind of calling our clinical facial serum, we're calling a facelift in a bottle, because it really does seem to have a very similar effect to that.
I think I hear angels singing.
No, that's me.
Oh, that's you. Oh, you also sing. You're a multi-hyphenate professional.
Right.
Wow. What makes you're speaking my language. You're talking about exactly what I'm looking for. But I have a very important question to ask you. Does it hurt?
Does it hurt? It doesn't really hurt. It can be a little bit uncomfortable in sensitive areas. So, if we're just below the eyes or maybe on the forehead a little bit. It's not painful. It's just a little bit uncomfortable, but it's really just a few seconds where we're going over with the needling. That's it. So it's bearable, definitely bearable.
Nothing that a little meditation or some soothing music or a little yanni couldn't help with.
Yeah, or even just a conversation while we're doing it.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, it's really not that uncomfortable.
So you're awake. You're awake when you get this done, like a facial.
Yes. Yeah. I think it would be a bit too much to do, full anesthesia on someone just to do that face.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, yeah, you're awake.
So do you numb the skin or do anything like that?
No, we looked at doing that and tried it at the beginning, but really we found it's not necessary. It's really not that painful at all. It's a little uncomfortable, but that's it.
Now, do you tell people not to take aspirin or do anything like that before you come? Is there or vitamin E and all those typical things they say before you do anything invasive?
No, because it's really not that invasive. We're not going into the skin very deeply. It's really just piercing the outer layer of the skin. So, no, there's no preparation needed.
Oh, wow. So what makes a person a good candidate to have that clinical facial done?
Basically, anyone's a good candidate. Excuse me. Even if you have, young, vibrant skin or you think your skin's looking good. I mean, there's always little areas where we have little wrinkles or where the skin could just need a little bit of support just from environmental damage and things like that. But we see the patients that react really best are those that really do have wrinkles or aging skin that really need some support. And that's when you can really see the maximum effects of the therapy.
What would make a person a bad candidate? Besides being a mean person.
Really, we don't really have anybody who would be a bad candidate. I'm just thinking about that. Maybe if someone has some serious skin disease or maybe some serious autoimmune disease, maybe we'd have to be a little bit careful. Mm-hmm. But really, there's no real contraindications for therapy.
I was going to say, that would be my next question. Are there any ever adverse reactions?
No, we see some patients who are a bit sensitive might get a little bit of reddening after the therapy. Mm-hmm. But that really doesn't last long. The maximum we've seen is about 2 hours. Just because I mean, once the cytokines start to become active, they have an anti-inflammatory property in them anyway. And also in the serum that we use, we put some natural extracts and things that have a very strong anti-inflammatory or have anti-inflammatory properties. So if there is any reddening, maximum 2 hours, it's gone.
Now, if a person has a tendency to hyperpigment, does that also, the anti-inflammatory properties in the serum, does that help that?
It does. In fact, hyperpigmentation is one of the treatments that we do with our serum. And we've seen that patients react very well. After about a week, you already see the hyperpigmentation getting less.
Wow, I just heard more angels. So the areas that doing a facial like this can treat wrinkles, you said sagging, it treats discolorization. Are there any other things, expectations that you can, I can expect from doing something like this?
Well, I mean, generally one of the things we treat as well is acne. So patients that have really bad acne, we can treat, and we see the acne really does start to go away after a few weeks. Acne scarring, if there's any scarring on the face, we can break down the scars and then build up the tissue. So that's very good. And also, as you say, neck, when you get those kind of wrinkles there and sagging skin, does very, very well on that. And also, going further down onto the chest as well. Many women have sun damage to the skin on top of their chest and below their neck. And these are areas we can treat as well to reverse some of that damage.
Wow. So is that, can you see those kind of results in one session or does it take several?
It's mixed. We've had some really amazing cases just after one treatment. For example, the professor that works with us and does our research and development, we were testing our serums on everybody, so we took her mom one day and just kind of needled her chin to see what would happen. And she had amazing results within 48 hours, and they lasted about 8 months. We just did nothing and wanted to see what happened, and it lasted about 8 months. So, some people react immediately. We've seen others, we need to do a couple of treatments, 2 or 3 treatments. Usually you notice a difference after the first treatment, but, if you need to go in deeper, if the lines are deeper, if there's scarring, patients react a little slower. And we've also seen, we've had a few patients that haven't reacted, but when we've really looked at them and done what we call a holistic facial, which is more, we'll do a test on them, see, how's their body doing, how's their nutritional status. We've seen that there's been more problems on that side and their immune system, and once we fix those, they reacted very well to the therapy again.
Well, you bring up a good point, because very often, what I found is, what's going on the outside. The skin is really like the last defense. Clearly there's something going on the inside, with the exception of like hanging out in the sun and being in pollution and stuff like that. How do you address the outside to the inside?
Well, our skin is our largest organ. We often forget that. The skin is an organ and it reacts to our physical and our emotional state. And so we think, beauty comes from the inside. It's more than skin deep. And so from the outside, you can, look after your skin, but really the actual feeding of the organ, the actual, looking after the organ and making sure it's strong and sturdy comes from inside. And so this is something we take very seriously when we see our patients. It's not just about, give you a quick facial and off you go. We really look at a kind of a holistic approach. So we like to see how their body's functioning, how their organs are functioning, as I said, their nutritional status and things like that we'll look at and then advise them. If someone's having acne outbreaks, maybe they do have an infection in their skin, maybe it's, lack of certain vitamins or minerals, or maybe their immune system isn't doing well. So these are things we need to look at, or dry skin or dry lips, things like this, could all be signs of things not right on the inside. So we pay a lot of attention to that.
So, and then you're able to address those issues as well. So let's back up. How do you determine that? How do you, you don't just look at somebody's skin. How do you determine what else is going on the inside?
Well, we have some tests that we do. One of them, we call it Global Diagnostics. It's a machine that we can attach our patients to. And the test runs about 8 minutes. It puts just a little current through the patient. And then it sees how energy is being utilized in the body and gives us lots of very interesting information about the functions within the body. And so that's one of the ways. We also have another machine that we can patients hold on to an electrode, and then after 1 minute, we have about 250 different blood parameters that we can look at, and that helps us too. So we can see, nutritional status, we can see the vitamins, heavy metals, minerals, things like that in their body, hormone status as well, and that just helps us get a good picture of what's going on inside.
Wow. So you're able to renew my face on the outside and then also go, okay, there's a weakness in a thyroid, or I was doing some research and found that stuff we're seeing on the skin or stuff like psoriasis could be an effect of the GI tract, the gut. Can you affect that as well?
Yes, yeah. And it's pointless to treat the face in that case because it's just cosmetic and everything is going to come back because your organ, the organ skin, is going to reflect what's going on inside of you. And so that's why it's really important for us to have good results in the face. We need to look beyond that.
Wow. And so where is all this done? Are you in a hospital? Where is this done?
Well, we have our treatment center in Beverly Hills in Physio. And so that's where we see our patients and clients. And
what kind of, so is it a spa or is it a clinic? Tell me a little bit more about Infusio.
Yeah, it is actually a clinic or a medical center. So we have doctors working there and naturopathic doctors. But when you walk in, it does actually look like a spa. So everybody thinks it's just a wellness spa, but actually it's good medicine practiced in a spa-like ambiance.
Wow. It just has woman all over it. I mean, you really are thinking through, what your clients need.
Yeah, well, definitely, because as I said before, I specialize in seeing patients that are chronically ill. They have chronic degenerative diseases. And one of the things I really wanted to do is get rid of that horrible doctor's office experience, because these patients have seen so many doctors, they're used to being, herded into the waiting room, waiting for an hour, and then quickly rushed into the doctor's office, and they sit there behind a desk while the doctor quickly writes them a script, and then they're off again. I didn't want any of that in my medical center. So we changed it into a spa ambiance, and we noticed that's so much more relaxing for the patients and really helps us to reach them on a different level.
Wow. And it's stressful. Like you go into a doctor's office and you're not feeling good, or you go into a hospital. Just the thought of doing that, it stresses you out or sends different chemicals in your body that just don't support you getting well.
Exactly. Yeah. So we've tried to create a healing environment for that and just reducing stress for our patients that come in.
So what other kind of things do you do at Infusio?
Oh, all kinds of things. So, as the name suggests, Infusio, we do IV infusions. And that's actually most of our therapies because we know people that are chronically ill often have problems with their digestive tract, so they're not really absorbing things properly. So, pumping them full of vitamins and minerals and supplements, you really don't know how much it's actually getting where you need it. So we decided to circumvent all of that and put things directly in the vein. So most of our treatments are done through IV infusions. We have things like ozone treatment. We have the typical Myers cocktail. We also have some different cocktails of amino acids and minerals and vitamins that we put together individually for the patients.
Wow! So you're just like the full service well-being.
Definitely, yes. Yeah.
Oh well, let's go back to the facial, because I think you've got me hooked there. How soon am I able to go back? If I were to decide to come in, how soon would I be able to go back to work? Because a lot of times we do these things and we can't go back to work. Is it something that takes a long time to recover? Can you share a little bit about that?
Well, there's actually no recovery time. There's no downtime at all. So you could, come in your lunch break and do the facial and go straight back to work. Unless maybe, you need your face as part of your job. If you're a model or something, you might have some reddening or whatever, so you might need to wait an hour or two afterwards. But really, there's no downtime. You don't feel, bad afterwards or anything like that. So you can go straight back to work.
Wow. And how long do the results last?
We don't know yet. That sounds funny. As I said, we're still in the research phase. So, we've been following patients now for about 8 or 9 months, and we're seeing the results are lasting that long. So at the moment, we're saying 8 months we know we're seeing results. Because we can fix the skin, we can reverse the damage, but we can't stop the aging process. I mean, I'd like to be able to do that, and
I was
I'm
going to say,
definitely working on that.
you can't do that yet?
Well, I don't want to announce that yet, so I'm keeping that to myself. But at the moment, the official statement is we can't, stop the aging process. So, we can reverse some of it, but the cells still keep getting older. So we're seeing, at the moment, our results are lasting about 8 months, and we want to see how long they last. We'll do some more following our patients.
That is fascinating. Well, and also you were saying you have that serum that you can take home, so I'd imagine that would help extend it.
Yeah, definitely. With the serum, again, we call this our 30-day serum. So it's not necessarily something you use continually, although some patients choose to do that. But our idea, and that's kind of our whole concept, we want to repair things. We don't want to put you in a constant state of maintenance. So we'd like to, do our therapies, do the needling, give you the 30-day treatment, and then you should be good for quite some time.
Wow. So is there something that I need to do if I were to come in as a patient to do that? Something that I can do to prepare to get better results?
Not really. I mean, when you come in, we will do our body scan and things like that so that we can really advise you. If we think there's maybe some dietary issues that you need to look at, or if you're having a lot of inflammation in your body, we might give you a few pointers as how you can change your diet to be more anti-inflammatory. If we see any immune issues, we might address those as well. But those are things we discuss with you when you come to us and we actually see you.
Wow, that's fascinating and very exciting, for somebody like myself, who's put my well-being, and I've always cared about my looks, as most women, but that I love that you have the combination that, they go hand in hand. They're not separate, and I think that's very rare.
No, and that's very important. I think one of the troubles in medicine is specialization. As good as it is, that you need specialists in certain areas, we're still, we're one organism. And you need to look at that whole organism if you're really going to get people better.
Yeah. Where do you see the future of this type of practice, stem cells and really medicine in this very holistic way? Where do you see it going?
Well, the trend that we're seeing in medicine is functional medicine. So, even specialists are recognizing that specialty is good, but they still need to make sure that the basics are all right with the patient. So I really do see this as the future of medicine, that we'll have, clinics where we'll have the functional medicine, that when you come in with your headache or your broken arm or whatever you have, there'll still be, the whole body will be looked at and addressed rather than just the one aspect of a disease.
Wow.
I really do think that's going to happen. And I think stem cells are going to play a large role there too, because they really do help with healing, boost healing, help to grow. We can grow new cartilage and things like that. So we can really, really help people with that.
If there was a vision that you had for your patients, the people that see you, or, the real intention behind your work with them, what is that?
Well, my motto is always optimal health. And that's really where I want to get my patients. It's not about looking good, we can make your skin look good, but it's optimizing your health. If we're honest, none of us are 100% healthy. And I think chasing that dream is really a bit of a waste of time. Sometimes you'll have a headache. Sometimes you will have a bit of an upset stomach. Sometimes you might have, achy back or whatever. But I think these are parts of life. But rather than, chasing after symptoms, I think we can optimize our health, but really get our health to an optimal state, that we can function really well and that we feel really good, and we can live a long and happy life with that. And that's really what I want from my patients.
And I imagine when you're living optimally, you will look optimal as well.
Most definitely, everything will be optimal. So I think that's a very important goal to have.
Sign me up.
I'm about to optimize you, yeah?
Absolutely. My motto is well.
Mm-hmm. No, that's great. That's good.
Perfect. I'm honored to really shine the light on what you're doing.
Thank you. And I'm honored too that you want to do that. That's really means a lot to us.
See what I mean? He was so kind and so generous with his experience and his wisdom, and accent's kind of cool too, right? And I didn't plan it, but somewhere along the way, my interview with Dr. Battiade became less about me learning about stem cells for skin rejuvenation and more about me interviewing him as a possible patient. I have to admit it. Now, hopefully I got some answers to some of the questions that you may have about it too. He really fanned the flame of stem cell within me. I mean, now I can't get the possibility of wrinkle-free skin out of my head. So I'm going to lean in more. Since his Infusio clinic in Beverly Hills is about 25 minutes away from me, I'm gonna go check it out and see if I still want to do it. Well, that's it for today's episode. I'm so grateful to share this precious time with you. What a gift.